Hey everybody, it's Jennifer J. Welcome back. This is episode 101. So I am so glad that you joined back. Let me set my timer so I don't forget. If you're new to the channel, you might want to go up to videos in your banner and click on that and go all the way down to the beginning and start with number 1. It's a whole story. You can watch them separately at this point, and I think they'll mostly make sense because we're a little bit past the story part. But if you want to hear the background, you'll need to go back to number 1. Anyway, for everybody else that's back, thanks for joining. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would. And that'll just send you reminders. I try to post every Monday and Thursday. Sometimes I miss, I will admit, I am human. This is not a professional channel. As you can tell, you can see me getting up and down and whatever. I don't know how to edit, so I'm just doing what God told me. But today, I am talking about a lesson. It wasn't really a sermon, but we did a 40-day prayer call before Easter. So this is in 2023 for people that might be watching later. But our women's prayer ministry, led by our First Lady, Lynn Mackey at Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church in Phoenix, did a 40-day prayer call. So our church already has a prayer call every Monday. So we did Tuesday through Saturday. And then Sunday, of course, we have church, and Monday we have the church-wide prayer call. But the women got on a Zoom call Tuesday through Saturday at 6:30 a.m. for 40 days leading up to Easter. And it was such a blessing. One, it got us in a habit. And we all know that you have to do something a certain number of times, right, before it becomes a habit. And I've heard different things. I've heard you have to do something 15 times, 30 times, whatever it is. The thing is to do it repetitively and keep doing it till it becomes a habit, right? So we did that so that we could make a habit of getting up and meeting with God. And the second thing we did during that time is create a space. So everybody had a different space. Some people were on their way to work and their space was in their car. Some people were already at work and their space was in their office. For me, it was in my bedroom because I don't have a very big apartment and it was early for me to get up. So it was in my room. But some people made an actual altar where they put things that reminded them of Jesus. So some people had a cross, or some people had a picture. Some people had flowers or candles or soft music or combinations of all those things. But whatever it was, everybody made just a special little space where they would meet God. And I think it's really important to have a particular spot. I've done that for years. Wherever I've lived, that I have a chair or a balcony or whatever it is, lawn chair, that I would meet God at, and that becomes your prayer sanctuary, so to speak. So I think that's important, if you haven't done that, to create a time and a place where you agree you're going to meet with Him, even if you need to put it on your calendar and have a reminder pop up, because that needs to be, anything else you're going to do, you're going to make sure you don't forget your kid's ball game or, your important events in your life, you're going to be there for, and you're going to set a reminder. So I think it's important, if we're going to be serious about meeting with God and spending time in His Word, we can't just say, I wish I could do that, or I should make more time for that. We need to be intentional and make more time for that. So set a reminder. I have one in the morning and at night because I do an evening devotional as well, which I think is good. So start with that. And then, so what I was going to just talk to you about is that we were having this. So this was one of those days. I think it was during the first week that we were doing it. So it was the end of February. And we were talking about consecrating a place. But one thing that she had said that I thought was good, she was talking about hardship being the fire that refines you. So if you're going through any kind of a hardship right now, if you can, maybe something immediately popped up to you because, yeah, I'm definitely going through a hardship. Or maybe you have to think on it for a minute to think about what might be hard, because, we do have mountaintops where we're not having hardship. But if you can think of a hardship that you might be going through, to try to remember that that's how God refines you. So it's how you respond to the hardship, right? Are you going to God in prayer? Are you still rejoicing and being grateful for all the good things going on? Because she said being whole is different than being healed. And I really liked that because, Jesus healed a lot of people in the Bible. But being healed physically isn't the same as being whole, because being whole includes spiritually and mentally and physically, right? It's everything. It's being whole. And being whole, we need to work at staying whole. It's our responsibility to read the Bible, stay in prayer, rejoice, praise Him. Those things keep us whole. So I just think that's important to mention. So in this, she was talking about there's a blessing in the pressing, and I think I've said that before, and you guys maybe have even heard it before too. But she said, she used reference to 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on Him, for He cares for you. And then also Psalm 29:11, which I did not write down, so I apologize, you'll have to look that one up. Isaiah 26:3, you will keep in perfect peace the mind who trusts in you. And I really like that verse because you guys know, maybe if you've been watching, my word for this year in 2023 is trust. So I really liked that. You will keep in perfect peace the mind who trusts in you. And what she used for that is to remember that my plan is not always God's plan, or my timing at least is not God's timing. So His thoughts, sorry, I have something tickling me over here. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and so we can't push. We need to wait on Him, but He cares about us, and so we need to be steadfast. And she said we need to move forward. You guys know those were my words from last year. And nothing can distract us. She said we need blinders on. You've seen horses with blinders on at horse races, because if they see the horses beside them, they're not going to react the same way as if they're just looking this way and focused on the racetrack, right? Otherwise they can get goosey, as they call it, or spooked. So we want to make sure that we keep our spiritual blinders on and that nothing distracts us. We have to focus on the spiritual race in front of us, and we have to pull straight. And that made me think of like old time farmers, I guess, where they had the oxen, right? And they had the ropes around their shoulders, and they would have to actually steer. Or even if you're riding a horse, they say to look at where you're going, because the horse knows what to do based on where you're looking. And kind of like even when you're driving, you have to look straight ahead, because you can veer off. If you're looking one way or the other, your car kind of starts to veer. You have to keep your focus. And so we need to do that with our spiritual strength, because our focus comes off God, and quickly our focus can come into the world. Our focus can quickly go to, what should I be wearing? What should I be buying to wear? What should I be getting for my house? Or what kind of house should I be buying? Or, just all the worldly stuff. And worldly stuff isn't bad in and of itself, but if it gets our focus off God and that becomes our idol, because whatever you think about the most is where your heart is. Whatever you're giving most of your thought life to is where your heart is. And so that's why I say you've got to always be keeping your spiritual blinders on so that you can stay focused. So listen to Christian music. It doesn't have to be K-Love. I know a lot of people don't like K-Love. The songs are really slow, a lot of them. There are a few snappy ones, but most of them are slow. A lot of them sound really country to me anyway, and I'm not a fan of country music. But there are other stations. There are other songs you can download. There's some great Christian music out there. There's some great Christian rappers. There's some great gospel music, which is, very bluesy, which I really like. That's my favorite. But Miles Minnick, he's really good, Christian rapper. And there's lots of Christian music. So you can go out there and download, to your smartphone or to Spotify or however you listen to music, all kinds of Christian music. And the lyrics make a difference. But, you can get any kind of genre that you desire out there, but just be listening to Christian music. Be listening to Christian radio or podcasts or those sorts of things. when you have time in the car, or, you know, where you're doing the dishes or whatever. I know sometimes you have to focus on the kids, you have to focus on family and different things, what you're doing. But if you're in the car alone, or like I said, doing the dishes or whatever, just have some free time, it's good to have that going in the background. Even if you're not completely listening to it, just having it going. You know, sometimes I will turn on, I do this because I hit the Bible app. I turn on my phone, I open the Bible app, the U version, and I just open the Bible. Doesn't matter what it's on. It's going to open to whatever I had open last, whatever verse I had open last. I'll just hit play and let it read to me as I go to sleep. It reads to me. I can choose what voice. It can be male or female. It can be American, British, whatever. I can pick whatever, and whatever's soothing, and I can just have it read to me, and I'll have it read. It'll read to me all night long. I think it might shut off after like 3 hours, I think, because I've looked at it before when it shut off, but it'll just read chapter after chapter, and I go to sleep, but I feel like that's still going in, right? It's going in. So I think that's really important. But whatever you need to do for you, whatever works for you, but I think it's important to stay focused. Reduce stress. So if you're resting in God, your anxiety dissipates. And she said it flees, and maybe it does, but I am one that has anxiety, so I can tell you it really does reduce stress. It reduces anxiety when you're focused on praising God. The stress part goes away. The stressors don't go away. Those problems might still be there, but when you're just trusting God with them and not thinking on them and stewing about them and talking about them, you just kind of say, here, and I'm going to trust you with those, and it really does reduce the anxiety. So you need to keep the blinders on, but you have to remember that the devil is going to try to take your blinders off. So it's important to take time to be still and listen to God. That's really hard to do for somebody like me with ADHD. So I know that it might be hard for you, and especially if you're just not used to doing it, it can feel awkward to just sit and go, hey, I'm listening. But it's really important, because if you've been reading the Bible and you've been listening to Christian broadcasts and you've been praising God, when you sit still to listen, you're going to start to hear him. And just have a pencil and paper ready and write down. And I always say, don't just jot notes, because Satan is really the father of lies, and he likes to take what you wrote down and twist it so that you doubt what you wrote. So write every single word so that you know with clarity. And even if you have a feeling about what you wrote or what you heard, I would write that down too, so that there's no doubt. Like, I heard this and I had chills, or I heard this and I felt complete peace, or I heard this and I knew it was from God. Like, whatever it is, I would write it all down, every single word, so that, and date it, because when Satan comes back and tries to twist that, tries to make you doubt that that's what you heard, and he will. He did. If you've been watching my story, you know he will. But that's when you go back and you read that and you go, no, I know that I know. And I think that's so important. So I guess I'll stop there. My timer is about to go off. But I will encourage you today to make a time and a place that you're going to worship God and meet with God and pray to God, and just give it a try. Try to make it a habit and see how that goes. And if you're doing that 30-day prayer challenge that I talked about, I wish you'd let me know. I know a couple of you have told me that you are, but there might be others that are doing it and haven't told me. So if you are, I would love for you to comment and let me know that you're doing that. And if you already told me you're doing it, let me know how it's going. That's fun for me to see other people growing in their faith or in their alone time with God. That's just a lot of fun for me, just to see what an impact it can make. So I will let you go for now, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.